Overwhelm. Can it be prevented? And if it already happened, is there a way to get out of it quickly? Watch the rest of this video and find out. There are two reasons for the overwhelm. One is overload, which is factual. Another one is an emotional reaction based on our own filters, which is pretty much inside one's emotional body. So let's look at the first one first. When we feel overloaded, we might end up having an emotional reaction to the factual overload by being overwhelmed. So in order to resolve an overwhelm, we first have to deal with an actual overload. So overload means we have in that moment taken on too many things to do. There is a commitment and something else on top of it, and maybe we're trying to take care of ourselves, and that's not working in connection with the commitment, or some other factors that all come together. A lot of times when we don't choose responsibility based on the higher self statement, something that our personality is in alignment with, but instead we choose responsibilities based on an assumption that it has to be done, that somebody else is expecting us to, it becomes more of a following external template, not creating it from within. When we do that, and we add that on top of our regular life, and think how many commitments you have in your life that if you really looked at them, they're not higher self commitments, they don't serve you. So all those things that don't serve us, they end up inside our system, right? They are components of what we're dealing with in that moment. So let's say physically you got one thing going on that probably is something you actually need to do. Then you got 20 other things on top of it that you think you should do. That is a situation that creates a lot of pressure on the inside. And that's an overload. So let's say we're actually trying to do all the things that we assume we're supposed to do. Like maybe you're trying to take your vitamins and make sure you do your yoga and make sure that you breathe a certain way and have your thoughts in a particular manner all the time and read certain book, and then you have commitment to go for a walk with your friend. And meanwhile, there might be other things going on like having a job, like having a relationship, like dealing with a child. All of that very quickly can create an overload, to which an emotional reaction would be an overwhelm. So, in order to clean that component, we first have to look at what is it that we have committed to that is not serving us. What is here that is not from the higher self, but instead has this flavor of should in it. So, maybe you choose to take your vitamins, but you don't have to be religious about it. More intuitive. Maybe you choose to do your yoga, but if you didn't feel like there's a pressure to have to do it in a certain way, but instead you did it because you feel that your body wants to participate. So if a lot of the things are cleaned up that are creating pressure, that doesn't actually mean you have to remove the activity. It means you have to remove the emotional charge that is linked to should. Something that creates the pressure. So once the pressure factor is removed, what we end up with is the actual events. There still could be too many events and you might still have to clean something off your plate. But most of the time, overload actually resolves itself once we removed all of this pressure we've been putting on ourselves. So this is how one can resolve the overload and in such a way prevent the overwhelm from happening altogether. Okay, now the overwhelm that is an emotional reaction. This is when nothing is actually going on, but we feel overwhelmed. A lot of times this happens because stimuli is coming in. The energy is coming in and we're experiencing it. We're experiencing a lot of it. We're in the process of ascending our bodies, becoming enlightened. There's a lot happening, but none of that is necessarily registered by the personality. So then it seems like nothing is happening and yet we're completely overwhelmed. Again, the solution is to find the higher self alignment. This is the part of us that is wise and is choosing to do something instead of looking at the same situation as a child that feels pressured to do something. Like, let's say, receiving energy, right? You are trying to live inside the ascension timeline in the higher 3D. That is very commendable. But that also means a lot of energy is coming in all the time and trying to change your physical body, which might be quite hard. So, if you're perceiving that process from the lower self, then this inner child feels like, oh, damn, I'm being pushed into this. I have to deal with this energy. I don't want to. I just want to relax. I just want to be comfortable. I just want to eat ice cream and veg out. And you're making me do all this stuff, including vibrate differently. I don't want to vibrate differently. So if instead you look at the same situation, still energy coming in, nothing has changed. The overall commitment to being in the ascension timeline in the higher 3D remains. But the view is from the higher self. Now, the higher self is looking at that situation in a very different light. It's looking at it with, yay, wonderful things are happening. Very soon I'm going to become a light being. I'm transmuting my body. Isn't this amazing? I'm loving every single moment. Is it hard? Yeah. Is the ascension symptoms situation still in existence and there's some discomfort in the body? Yeah. Could it still be hard at times? Yeah. But the pressure is off. And because the pressure is off, there is no more overwhelm. So this is how you resolve an overwhelm. 2 steps. If it's caused by the physical situation, then you have to shift yourself into the higher self mode and clean up whatever the shoulds that you've been following that are causing the pressure. Or if it's caused by an emotional situation or just an energy environmental situation, then you have to still look at the situation from the higher self in order to resolve the little rebellion that is going on the inside that is creating the resistance pattern, which is what's making the overwhelm happen by generating pressure. If you're watching this video on anything other than my Transcension Gate website, please visit and press that blue button to sign up if you haven't yet, so you can get the support of the Solar Council and the Kadishtu beings on your journey. Be love, be free, be God.